I will likely do several parts breaking down this fight because this is a really high level fight and it's a really fun analysis in my opinion. But this first part is going to lay the groundwork and then we're going to expand as we go on. So let's get into it. There are a lot of psychological elements that go into decisions made in that first round, especially in a high level fight like this. So both men have to pose significant threats to each other early on and kind of out posture the other man. They have to make each other respect the type of damage they're capable of doing or showing that they're potentially in the fight with an unexpected shot. That's a major reason why first rounds are usually quite slow to start off. There's an emphasis on stoicism and control, being poised and prepared. This is an example of what I mean. Just throwing out some shots just to make you think, just to make you second guess that hesitation, that game of jumping back forward. Are you going to hesitate or I'm going to hesitate? The first round is also generally going to give an accurate depiction of game plans, objectives, and sometimes even the flow of the fight. So Takeru's objective is to stay at a certain range where he can let go with his punches, but when he's threatened with longer strikes, when he's given offense, you'll see him jump back, right? And he wants to get out of combat range where no shots can land. But then what does he do? He gets right back onto that advancing mode. So once the onslaught ceases, then he gets back into finding his way into that range. In contrast, Superlek's goal is sniping and setups. He's letting Takeru advance so he can walk him into jabs and stuff like that. But really, a couple punches up top, he'll double jab, like what he does right here, double jab, and then boom, touch him with the low kicks. That's the primary source of offense in this first round, a jab or a double jab into a low kick. And while one individual low kick isn't doing much, it's the accumulation, death by 1,000 cuts, and that's especially true after the fight. A fight or combat can only occur at the intersection of two conflicting objectives or end goals. Takeru is trying to advance into a certain range, and Superlek is trying to snipe him before he gets there. So he's punishing him with jabs, distracting him up top, and then he really punishes him with the leg kicks down low. But as you see, Takeru, he's already expecting those because that pattern has been demonstrated to him a few times in this first round already. So Takeru, part of his objective is getting out of the way of those sniper shots. And like we said, after that jab, there's normally following a leg kick, and you see Takeru constantly jumping back, getting out the way. But then what that means is you can throw a jab and you don't have to do much with the jab, and you'll get him to back up because he's expecting that. So that jab now becomes a great range controlling weapon for keeping him back, or rather a tool. So you have Takeru advancing, right? Superlek is also aware of what Takeru is doing. So Takeru would jump back and instantly began trying to reclaim the territory. So once he gets those jabs, he's going to jump back. But we know what he's going to do. Once he jumps back, he's instantly back, advancing, trying to reclaim that territory. And once he does, Superlek, that's the setup. He's like, oh, I know you're going to come forward. So he times him, right? So the sniper can predict when and where Takeru will advance, and he can time his entry. And that's what he does right here. It's somewhat kind of a hook kick. But all great fights have that back and forth adjustment dynamic. So the best way to stop a sniper is to stop him from accessing the tools he used to set up his sniping game plan. If you knock a sniper out of his tower, he has limited options. Superlek was using that jab and extended lead hand, just like what you see right here. He was using that to set up his offense. So once Takeru sees that tool, as soon as he sees it, punishment begins. He's not going to allow him to use that tool, or at least that's the game plan. That's the adjustment he's thinking of. He doesn't want to allow him to use that tool without it being followed by some sort of punishment. And I know that's a deliberate adjustment because immediately Superlek tries to throw another jab. And what's Takeru do? He tries to counter that jab. So it's a very deliberate adjustment. It's not just a luck thing or just a coincidence. No, he did that on purpose. He's trying to take away the sniper's tools. And that tool, so far, that jab or the lead hand extended, was the #1 asset that was putting Superlek in a position to successfully implement his game plan. Now for the first time, you have Takeru getting Superlek against the ropes, and Superlek is now not in a great position. He was the one where he was the fighter that was controlling the positions and the pace of the fight, and he was pushing him back, and now his back is against the ropes. So just two small moves, those two small punishing, one was kind of a counter and the other was just, I guess you could say it was a counter too. And this dynamic shifted, at least for this small period of time. Again, in the beginning, I talked about the psychological aspect in the first round. it's a vying for dominance and control. So when Superlek was pushed back like that, he instantly knew he had to get back into trying to vie for dominance, and that's what he does right here. He jabs, and boom, blast that leg. And Takeru tried to pull up for a check, but he didn't really turn his knee out all the way, so he still got tagged on his thigh. But once again, Takeru has to reclaim territory, which is an essential part to his overarching strategy. He advances. What does Superlek do? He times the entry again, not just with a jab or even a double jab, but with the cross. So now he's mixing up the offense. He can't just do the same thing over and over, obviously, because Takeru's expecting that. You see him raise his leg to try and check. But this is a perfect microcosm of what we've been seeing for the most part in this first round. Takeru is advancing, Superlek is timing the advance, right? So Superlek was circling and moving, boom, catch him with a jab. And then Takeru's gonna jump back, and he's gonna begin advancing again, jab, caught him again. He wants to advance again, jab, caught him again. And so in that first round, it was a game of timing and range control, and Superlek was winning that battle. We'll see what happens in these next few rounds, because I think this will be my first time really watching this fight. So y'all gonna be watching it with me. Let's go. Fight Scientists. See y'all later. Immortality Serum out.